back to Heaven and Health. I am your host, Coach Dodo Tavares, and today we're going to be talking about physical health. So, I wanted to share this because there's been a switch in how people think about the symptoms of having physical issues. And it's fairly recent, but it's not. So let me explain. So first of all, um, when I was a young girl, I was I never had any energy. I never did. There was a lot of foods I didn't like, so I didn't eat a lot of things. And as a health coach, I'm going to tell you the absolute truth here. I ate candy bars for breakfast. Okay, I didn't like a lot of food. And so I was not getting the nutrition that I needed back then, and I knew it. And I had issues with having enough energy, and I always did. As a kid, I could never understand why people would be able to have, even my age, young kids had the energy to go run around and play. I never really did. And then as I started growing up, a little bit, I had some sugar issues. They said it wasn't hypoglycemia because they did the test and it didn't come out that way, but they said that it acted that way. So I should eat every, few hours to make sure that I got enough of what I needed. That was actually really good advice. And I started collecting symptoms. Okay, so there was the fatigue, there was the sugar issues, then there was the pain. As I got older and older, I had more fatigue, more pain, more sugar issues, quote unquote. And then when they found cancer and they went into everything out, I went through menopause and I started to gain a lot of weight. Now I was thin my whole life feeling like crap. And now I was overweight feeling like crappier. Then I had brain fog and I had heartburn and the acid reflux and I was popping tums all the time. And actually, I had very low blood pressure most of my life till I got heavy. And then my blood pressure started going up. I mean, it was just, and then I went to the doctor, and the doctors did all these tests, and they never found anything. They diagnosed me with fibromyalgia, and then they diagnosed me with I'm in postmenopause, and so this is why, and I'm getting older, so this is why I'm having all these issues. And they kept saying fibro is not something that we know how to cure. So it's only going to get worse. You're only going to feel worse. And I did. I did only feel worse as I got older. And I bought into there's no cure. And I bought into as you get older, you feel worse. And at first, because people would say, oh, I've got this miracle cure. And I would try it. And of course, it didn't work. And oh, if you only did this, and if you only exercised, and if you only, all the things. And I tried them all, and they did not help. And I just kept collecting more and more symptoms. And I kept thinking to myself, I said to myself, if they were all separate things, why all of a sudden, why am I collecting all these separate things? It didn't make any sense to me. It had to have one cause. And then when I finally got healthy in 2020, I lost 40 pounds. But that was the only reason why I started doing these programs that I now coach, because I wanted to fit back into all my favorite purple clothes. Okay. I wanted to be able to look good, and it was vanity. I'm just going to tell you, it was vanity. What I didn't expect is I would actually feel better. Yeah. So I got rid of 40 pounds, but also got rid of my fatigue and my pain and my brain fog and my acid reflux, and my blood pressure went back down. Okay, all the things started getting better, and I started feeling more and more energy. And then I could work out, I could do exercise, I could run up and down the stairs, which I could not do. So all of these things I realized were connected. So recently, there has been a study on the programs that I coach, and they have found to be we're legally able to claim what we already knew, that it reversed these symptoms of metabolic dysfunction. That's what it is, folks. It's you're metabolically unhealthy. You want to know how many people in the US? 90%. 90% of Americans are overweight, or sorry, 75% of Americans are overweight. 90% of Americans or more are metabolically unhealthy. So you don't have to be overweight to be unhealthy. You can be, I know people who are thin. I was thin, but I was not healthy. There are people today, they're not necessarily overweight, but they are unhealthy. Some to the point of possibly having a heart attack. I know people, I've talked about this on this show before. I know people whose husband, I have a friend whose husband, she was trying to get him to talk with me about his health, but he prioritized his work and his family, went over to shovel the driveway of his daughter's house. She was 8 or 9 months pregnant at the time, had a heart attack and died right there on their driveway while I was in Messenger with her, talking back and forth in Messenger. I know people who have had all kinds of health issues, and a lot of these things can be reversed. Metabolic dysfunction is a collection of symptoms you think are unrelated that is stemming from being metabolically, nutritionally unhealthy. When I was going through menopause, I tried to lose the weight on my own. I could not do it. Not one blessed ounce did I lose on my own. And I was trying just to lose the weight, but what I actually did was regain my health. This is what I want for my clients. This is what I want for you. If you are struggling with any of these symptoms, blood pressure, diabetes, which I did not have, but my husband had, diabetes, we can reverse those things. Do you know that those issues, metabolic symptoms, metabolic dysfunction symptoms, are responsible for 9 out of 10 of the leading causes of death in the US? 9 out of 10. The other one is car accidents. I don't know if it's related to that one. Probably not. But 9 out of 10 leading causes of death in the United States are because of metabolic dysfunction, and nobody's talking about it until right now. And now we can legally tell you that we can help you reverse those things. They did with me. I do it with my clients all the time. And if it's you, if you see that list that I shared, or more things that are chronically an issue in your life, it is probably metabolic dysfunction. I can help. I can make it so much easier. There were times where I thought I was eating well in menopause. I thought I was doing all the things I needed to do, but I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what was missing. I didn't know what I needed to cut out and what I needed to add. And when I did that, I got my life back. I was literally living my entire life on my couch. I thought that was the end. I thought that was my whole life because they kept telling me, doctors, everybody kept telling me fibro is incurable. It's for the rest of your life. It only gets worse. No, it doesn't. Don't believe it. There are ways out of a lot of chronic issues. There are ways out of diabetes and blood pressure being too high and all of the things that can cause. And I can help with that. So I just wanted to share, there is now new information as to what is causing these seemingly unrelated symptoms. And I knew it had to have one cause, and it's metabolic dysfunction. And now that we know what it is, and I know what can help, if you are experiencing those things, please reach out to me. I can make it so much easier for you. Even if you don't work with me one-on-one, I can give you tips. Okay. So let's do this together. Let's get healthy for 2026, and we can have an amazing year.